This is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome. This is India Global. I'm Gaurie, Dwivedi. Let's start the show with headlines this Thursday evening. First up, Bhutan's King Wangchuk calls on Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister says that India is committed to advancing bilateral ties between India and Bhutan. ISRO successfully launches PSLV-C-59 rocket, ISRO rocket carrying Proba 3 to study the sun's outer layer. French Prime Minister ousted in historic no-confidence vote. The vote was triggered by the controversial budget which the Prime Minister pushed through despite opposition from all sides. Bangladesh's interim government advisor Mohammad Yunus's latest anti-India jibe, where he says that must counter aggression against Bangladesh by coming together. Monumental day for Bitcoin, which has touched a major milestone by hitting the record $100,000 mark. The rally triggered by MAGA supporters and Donald Trump set to be in office. All right, the first story that we're starting the show is a very important visit by Bhutanese King Jisme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk, who's arrived in India for a two-day visit to further cement the ties between India and Bhutan. Wangchuk is accompanied by the Queen and senior officials of his government. The Bhutanese king has met Prime Minister Modi earlier today, where he reiterated India's commitment for the advancement of ties between the two sides. Importantly, this visit comes just days after India and China agreed on a disengagement and have returned to their pre-Galwan 2020 patrolling sites. And that's the important part. After that is this visit coming in. Let's get in Mohammad Ghazali to really fill us in with the very latest on this. Ghazali, good to have you on the show. The fact is, this visit is important because Bhutan, of course, looks up to India when it comes to its security matters, and second, that India and China have been able to resolve parts of the thorny issues that led to the Galwan clash.
Oh yes, certainly. That's a big achievement for the Indian diplomacy, that it managed to achieve that disengagement plan and activate it after 4 years of the clash at Galwan. Why this visit is significant, how China is involved, as you rightly pointed out, because when it comes to Doklam, there is a border dispute between China and Bhutan as well. And India has been keenly watching, because last year both the countries, China and Bhutan, had said that they will resolve this dispute, and India has been keenly watching because India is also a stakeholder there. The other part of this visit is that India has been supporting Bhutan for its financial needs, for its infrastructure needs, and in what we know, that as far as the plan for the 13th five-year plan period for Bhutan, India has also doubled its aid. So that is also one part of aid diplomacy which India practices with small nations in its neighborhood. Bhutan also happens to be one of those countries with which India has a very strong cultural ties, traditional ties. And this time around, when Prime Minister met with the King of Bhutan, there was also, beyond these connectivity and infrastructure issues, India has also committed to have cooperation in developing and having ties when it comes to space sector, technology sector, and certainly being a big brotherly nation, India will be supporting in these sectors to Bhutan through financial aid, through technology and other sectors as well.
All right, Mohammad Ghazali, appreciate you joining us to fill us in with a very important visit that really could be the next game changer as far as the region is concerned. All right, shifting focus now to the other big international news coming in today, where a historic vote finally saw and is set to see the ouster of the French Prime Minister. The France far right and the left-wing lawmakers came together in a no-confidence vote that was prompted by budget disputes and ousted the Prime Minister and his cabinet members, first for France since 1962. A conservative appointed in September, Barnier becomes the shortest-serving Prime Minister in France's modern history. And the French President Macron now has to pick his sixth Prime Minister in 7 years. He remains in office, he remains untouched by these developments, but what happens is that not only is his political capital eroded to some extent, how will he pass his budget? Because elections cannot take place till next year. So how is he going to ensure that with a fractured polity, he will be able to pass the budget? And that is a big question, with many opposition politicians increasingly calling for Macron to now resign. But he has insisted he will serve the full term out. All right, let's quickly now get in Mr. Nicholas joining us live from England to fill us in with how he views this situation and how he feels this is really likely to pan out. Nicholas, appreciate you taking out the time and speaking to me on India Global. As things stand right now, the political logjam that Paris has been in ever since the elections this year, it was a snap election. Why Macron did it is a separate story, and what was he thinking is a separate story. But the fact is that the fractured polity in France is impacting or is set to impact the legislative business.
Well, yes, indeed. And I hesitate to criticize a neighboring country with which Britain has a very close relationship. But looked at from our perspective, they have a rather awkward democracy because firstly, they elect a president, and then the president chooses the prime minister and indeed the government and leaves it for them to run within Parliament. So the president himself is not directly accountable to Parliament, and the prime minister he's chosen has had a job trying to steer the boat, as it were, not least, as you say, because of the budget, the importance of getting a budget passed. I don't have a solution to this, but more to the point, nor does France. That's the worst aspect. You had these elections, these surprise elections held in July that nobody really expected the president to call elections at that time.
Exactly.
Especially since it was just before the Olympic Games were held in Paris.
Exactly.
And now we have another political démarche just before President-designate Trump of the United States is due in Paris. And it looks like there won't be a government in place.
I was going to come to just that at a time when Europe is set to face a lot of uncertainty in terms of what happens to their ties with America, what happens to NATO, what happens to all of those institutions. There's also a crisis that France has, well, frankly, created for itself, which is what happens to France going forward in the midst of growing geopolitical uncertainty.
I think you know it so well, you don't really need me. But anyway, I agree with the points you're making. And this is really why France matters, because of its relationship with other countries. It is a key state within the European Union, and the other key state, Germany, is also in a bit of a mess with elections due in February. And both France and Germany have big economic problems, and there's a question is being asked as to whether the leadership of the European Union will move further east, with both France and Germany having difficulties, and indeed having governments that haven't lasted long. I mean, the German ones lasted a bit longer, but the French one only 3 months, as you say. Now, beyond that, there's a whole question of NATO, and NATO is a very important alliance for much of Europe. And the uncertainty created by the election of President Trump has got NATO in a bit of jitters. So the solidarity, which, I mean, that's one area where Britain and France are in the alliance together. I think there are 27 countries in NATO altogether. And that matters because of the Ukraine crisis, the Ukraine war, I should say.
Yes.
So much uncertainty in Paris, but it reaches way beyond the European Union in an economic sense,
Yes.
and throughout NATO in a defence and security sense. So we outsiders, I mean, we European outsiders are considerably concerned about what's going on in France and the apparent lack of any obvious way forward, because, as you say, elections by law cannot be held, new elections cannot be held until July next year. And President Macron, I think his term runs till 2027. So if he doesn't want to step down, he won't step down. But how else do you resolve a crisis where Parliament is split roughly three ways, with none of those three groups or parties having an overall majority?
Exactly.
It's a big political crisis.
Which brings me to ask you this, that it took 6 weeks to appoint the last Prime Minister. Now, who could possibly replace him? Because somebody needs to be the next Prime Minister. Legislative business has to continue. Budget has to pass. In your assessment, who could that be? And what will it take for parties to really come together behind a candidate?
Well, you're asking absolutely the questions that we're all wondering. I read in the papers this morning that there are 2 or 3 names being toyed with, people from one of the political groups who seem to be better at getting on with the other groups than clearly Mr. Barnier was. So there are names in the ring, but as to how long it'll take to appoint a new Prime Minister, the expectation is that Mr. Macron, to save himself really, will appoint somebody before President Trump arrives at the weekend. So it's got to be within 2 or 3 days. So there are candidates, but what you won't see happen is that one of the prominent party leaders will be appointed, because, well, arguably they're part of the problem. They are rowing, and the ability to create a coalition from this divided parliament seems minimal. But partly because of President Trump coming, and partly because of the need to get a budget through. When the Prime Minister resigned, the draft budget collapsed. So there are 2 very pressing reasons why Mr. Macron has to move fast. The call for him to resign himself, to step down and call a presidential election, well, it seems less likely that that'll happen, but it's not impossible. It certainly won't happen before the weekend, that's for sure.
All right, let's leave it there. Mr. Nicholas Nugent, thank you so much for taking out the time and really connecting the dots in terms of what's happening in France right now. All right, on that note, we slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side with lots more stories, including the latest that's happening in Bangladesh, where Mohammed Yunus has come out with strong statements. What does it mean for India? How should one read that message? We talk on that and lots more after this break.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I've got a few rounds left to go. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period, unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years for full cover. With Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one, and you're covered for the whole of your life. Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call.
Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0800 380 0060 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Visit bingoaliens.com/bingo for a cosmic range of bingo games, taking bingo to another dimension at bingoaliens.com/bingo.
Hello?
Hello? I need help.
Hello? I desperately need a place to stay.
Every 10 minutes, we get a call like this from another homeless young person. This Christmas, we're expecting more frightened young people to call the Centrepoint helpline than ever before. We must answer their calls. Please, text SAFE to 70755 or search Centrepoint 5 online to start your gift of just £5 a month. In the months ahead, you'll know your gift is helping more homeless young people get the safety and support they urgently need. Thank you.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
Dealing with my lot means making smart choices. And with our family growing, I want to protect the life we've built. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my husband pay off the mortgage.
With our Smart Family Guarantee and 99% of claims having been paid, you'll have peace of mind.
I'll go ahead.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 5753 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Welcome back. You're watching India Global. It's now time to turn our focus to the latest as far as Trump 2.0 is concerned. Now, in countdown to Trump 2.0, we tell our viewers really now in terms of the cabinet formation that is set to take place as far as President-elect Donald Trump is concerned. He'll be sworn in. He'll take the office of oath of office on the 20th of January. But what happens to his cabinet colleagues? He's made a lot of appointments. How do that get confirmed? How long will that take place? And what's the process like is exactly what this report will tell you, viewers.
The United States Senate confirmation process is a crucial step in appointing key positions within the government. Now, from the president's nomination to committee reviews, financial checks and full Senate votes, this complex procedure can take months. Let's break down how it works and what factors might delay it. The US president nominates a candidate for a key position, such as cabinet officer or a judge. Step 2 is the committee review. The Senate committee responsible for that department or role conducts the hearing. For example, Senate Foreign Relations Committee holds a hearing for the Secretary of State. Senate Finance Committee holds a hearing for the Secretary of Treasury. These hearings often include questioning the nominee about their qualifications, past decisions, and views on policy issues. Step 3, financial and background checks. Nominees must submit financial disclosure forms and undergo background investigations to ensure they meet ethical and legal standards. Step 4, committee vote. After the hearings, the committee votes on whether to approve or reject the nominee. The vote is based on the majority of committee members. Step 5, a full Senate vote. If the committee approves the nominee, the full Senate votes. A simple majority, which is 51 votes, is required to confirm the nominee. Step 6, confirmation or denial. If confirmed, the nominee assumes the position. If rejected, the president may nominate someone else. Now, how long does the Senate confirmation process take? Well, as of November 2024, the average time for confirming a presidential appointment has risen to about 192 days. That's about 6 to 7 months. But under US President Ronald Reagan, the process took about 69 days on average. However, confirmations for cabinet secretaries are usually quicker, averaging around 25 days since the year 1981. In terms of the slip-ups, when do things go wrong in the Senate confirmation process? Well, you see, many potential nominees are quietly scuttled before being publicly nominated. In terms of reasons for withdrawal, the administration may conclude the candidate won't win Senate approval, so they are never nominated. Examples of nominees who have withdrawn before confirmation include Matt Gaetz, Trump's initial pick for Attorney General. Other high-profile withdrawals also include Neera Tanden, Biden's OMB nominee, and Andrew Pulster, Trump's Labor Secretary nominee. They have had their nominations pulled in the past. But why do these failures matter? Well, withdrawn or rejected nominees can delay the filling of important government roles, affecting policy planning and public services. Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV.
Shifting focus now to ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization's workhorse rocket PSLV today successfully achieved its launch objectives, deploying the European Space Agency Probe 3 satellite into its designated orbit with precision. The PSLV rocket lifted off today at 4:04 p.m. from the Sriharikota launch station in Andhra Pradesh, carrying the Proba 3 satellites. The launch was postponed yesterday after an anomaly was detected in the satellites. In the 61st flight, the rocket will launch a unique pair of European Space Agency satellites designed to simulate a total solar eclipse through precision formation flying in space. ISRO stated that the vehicle will place the Proba 3 spacecraft into a highly elliptical orbit as part of a dedicated commercial mission under New Space India Limited, or NSIL, ISRO's commercial arm. All right, let's get in my colleague Pallava Bagla to really give us a detailed understanding of why this is significant, why it matters, and why it's such an important milestone as far as ISRO is concerned. Go ahead, Pallava, explain to us and our viewers.
Well, it is a very prestigious mission for the world. It's a multi-million-dollar European satellite. The European Space Agency tasked the Indian Space Research Organization to launch their very expensive and very unique satellite. A Proba 3 cost about $210 million. And this was a commercial launch by the commercial arm of ISRO, New Space India Limited. So a very prestigious launch, and also India will earn some dollars from it. The Proba 3 satellites are for the first time going to show formation flying in space. One has seen formation flying of aeroplanes in the air acrobatics team, but for the first time, 2 satellites will perform in the near vacuum of space formation flying to mimic a total solar eclipse. The sun is so little understood that scientists in the world are trying to decipher its many mysteries. As of now, in a century, there are just 60 eclipses which last about 10 minutes, so scientists don't get opportunity to study the sun during a total solar eclipse, meaning a natural one. Whereas this Proba 3 satellite will create a total solar eclipse artificially in space, which will last for 6 hours. So many mysteries of the sun will be deciphered through the Proba 3 satellite. And now that ISRO has given the European Space Agency a precise and perfect orbit, as they said, the mission should last a long time. So very important mission for the world and a very prestigious mission for the European Space Agency. India launched it successfully, and India also earned handsomely from this mission, as it was a commercial launch by New Space India Limited. A big day for India's space program.
All right, Mr. Pallava Bagla, science editor of NDTV, really explaining it to us in detail as to why this is significant, why it matters, and why it's a milestone. Appreciate you taking out the time. All right, on that note, we slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side with lots more stories, including the latest that's happening in Bangladesh. Stay with us.
Sadly, animal cruelty has reached an appalling high. It's the worst animal rescue emergency in our recent history, and we urgently need your help. The RSPCA is the only charity in England and Wales dedicated to animals of every kind. Without us, those facing serious abuse and neglect would simply not be saved. Like you, we can't bear to think of them suffering. That's why, despite the high numbers, we must reach them before it's too late. If you can help us carry on this vital work with a monthly gift, please call or text the number on screen now. Anything you can give would help so much. It'll help us answer more calls. It'll help us rescue more animals in danger and help provide them with the urgent medical treatment, food and loving care they need. I promise we will never give up trying to save every animal we can, but we need your help now more than ever. I can assure you, your gift will help save animals' lives every day. Please call 0800 234 6054, text SAVE to 82727, or visit our website to start your monthly donation today. Thank you.
Unleash the power of hands-free lighting with Neck Bright from JML. The powerful and versatile wearable neck light. Easily adjust the direction or how bright you need the light. The lights are also detachable, and the magnetic base lets you attach it to any metal surface, giving you the right light when and where you need it. Discover the ultimate hands-free lighting solution this Christmas with Neck Bright. Only $19.99 from Asda, Argos, Morrisons, Tesco and JMLdirect.com. JML, your Christmas made easier.
This is Amy's first Christmas on the streets. She thought it couldn't be worse here than the abuse she suffered at home. But now she's cold, hungry, and desperate to find somewhere safe to stay. No young person should be forced to spend Christmas like this. What does it take to get Amy off the streets this Christmas? It starts with a Salvation Army and a Christmas gift from you. Will you call 0800 083 6633 and give £19? Your gift means we can give young homeless people a warm welcome out of the cold. Christmas food and cheer, and a helping hand to find somewhere safe to live. So this Christmas, will you help us give Amy a fresh start off the streets? Call the Salvation Army on 0800 083 6633 to give £19 now. Thank you.
This is India Global. I'm Gaurie, Dwivedi. We now turn our attention to the latest that's happening in Bangladesh, where Mohammed Yunus, who is the advisor of the interim government, has come out with the latest jibe, which clearly seems to be targeting India. In fact, Mohammed Yunus is learned to have said that must counter aggression against Bangladesh. He's also asked that that he has asked all political parties to unite against what he feels is an attack against Bangladesh. And when he, of course, asked some of the political parties and outfits to come together, Sheikh Hasina's Awami League was kept out of that discussion. This was the first meeting of all of political parties and political stakeholders to come together. Now, the question we ask, what's behind the latest jibe by Mohammed Yunus? As he met parties on the India-Bangladesh ties, and why exactly he decided to exclude Awami League, given the fact that he wants to return Bangladesh to a democratic framework, which cannot happen if one party is completely excluded from that setup. Former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, has called Mohammed Yunus a mastermind behind some of the killings that have taken place in the last couple of weeks, particularly targeting the minorities, not just the Hindus, but also Ahmadiyya Muslims, the Christians, the Buddhists, and all. But Mohammed Yunus' statements, some of them that have come out, has said that people not happy, and in fact, there are some vested interests that are not happy with Bangladesh's freedom after he's talking about after 5th of August, when the student revolution overthrew the Sheikh Hasina government. Former Secretary Vikram Misri is likely to visit Bangladesh to try and ensure that the strain that has come in the present India-Bangladesh relationship, some of that can be tied to, and ensure that frayed nerves can possibly be addressed. All right, let's get in some of our guests this evening to talk more about what really is the intent behind that meeting that Mohammed Yunus held. Let's get in Mohammad Kamruzaman, senior journalist from Dhaka, and also get in, first of all, Professor Nazmul, who is joining us from Dhaka. He's the Professor of Public Administration of the University of Dhaka. So hopefully a moderate voice on the show. Thank you so much, Professor Nazmul, for speaking to me, speaking to NDTV. It's always good to get professors because, you know, they are able to speak from a certain degree of, or at least have some dispassionate assessment of how things are taking place or how a situation is normally viewed, as is the case with people who are more passionate about things that are happening, and as is the case in Bangladesh as well. Let me start by asking you, sir, what do you make of the meeting that was held by Mohammed Yunus, where he called all stakeholders, and some of the commentary he made seemed to indicate that it was a direct jibe aimed at India?
Well, that was a kind of clarion call on the part of the head of the government, Nobel laureate Professor Dr. Yunus. almost all the parties who were known as anti-Awami League, they were invited. Although there's an exception, LDP delegation actually was turned away from the gate because their name was not mentioned in the guest list. Although the person concerned, Colonel Oli from LDP, and his partner, Radwan Ahmed, were invited by one of the advisors of the government to turn up, but when they arrived, they found their name is not there, the list. And of course, 14 party stakeholders and Jatiya Party, they were also not invited alongside Awami League. It was obvious because they are treated as the villain who were opposed to the students' quota movement. And they were responsible for the killings during that period in July, August.
Okay. Let's get in Mohammad Kamruzaman, who is a senior journalist joining me from Dhaka as well. Appreciate you taking out the time. Mohammad, let me start by asking you, what do you make of the commentary that has come in after Mohammad Yunus held a meeting with all stakeholders, and the fact that Awami League was actually excluded from that meeting itself? Is this Mohammad Yunus's efforts and way of ensuring that he completely excludes Awami League from Bangladeshi politics?
It's very natural, and I think that even this question is not very suitable, because you know that after month-long movement, when in that movement nearly 2,000 people, mostly students, were brutally murdered, and Sheikh Hasina fled in the wake of a mass uprising. So how can, after that movement, a new government, mostly chosen by the students, how you expect that Awami League will participate in a meeting under that government? So it's very absurd. Even this expectation is not very logical. So why?
No, my point is that if Bangladesh has to return to democracy, it has to engage with all political stakeholders, right? That's my point. And that includes all stakeholders.
Democracy doesn't mean that when you saw on broad daylight there were murders, there were autocracy in the name of democracy. So majority people's expectation is democracy. So there was a mass upsurge, there was a revolution. So most people expect that this government is the outcome of that movement. And during that movement, due to that movement, Sheikh Hasina fled. And the 15-year-long autocratic regime in the guise of democracy fallen. So how can you expect that democracy means that inclusion of that party?
But there's no word on when elections will take place.
It doesn't carry any meaning.
There's no word on when elections will take place. And then I get in Professor as well. Yeah. Mohammad Kamrzan, yeah.
Actually, now there is also anger among the people regarding the role of India. India is a closest neighbor. India can be a friendly country who supported us during our liberation war. But what India did during this student movement, even 9 Hindu people were brutally murdered. There was no voice, there was no statement from Indian side. Just now, after the fall of Sheikh Hasina, after the formation of a government...
No, India has all along said that law and order and rule of law needs to be upheld, and that cannot be compromised at any point of time. Let me get in Professor Nazmul as well on this. Respond to the fact that return to elections, return to a democratic framework is still something that Mohammad Yunus hasn't clearly etched out. And what one sees right now is commentary which is more anti-India right now, rather than return to a democratic framework.
Well, lately the government has formed the election commission, it's kind of an indication that soon there will be a roadmap which will be unfolded, and the D-Day would be announced. It is expected, widely expected, and formation of the Election Commission is the first step towards that end. So we are hopeful that soon we'll be getting an announcement from the interim government that this is the roadmap, and D-Day is this one.
And respond to some of the jibe, some of the commentary that was targeted at India, that was aimed at India.
Well, you know, one of the outlaw political entities, namely Hizb-ut-Tahrir, they have come up with a poster which says that India should be declared as an enemy country. So this is the extreme sort of proposition. From there, on the other side of the axis, people are saying that we want to have respectful, equal, in equal terms, relation with India. India acted as the surrogate mother during our liberation war. We all acknowledge that, but at the same time,
what do you think should be done as far as some of these voices that are coming to fore, where India should be declared as an enemy state is being said? Very quickly, Professor Nazmul.
Well, I mentioned already that it's a party which is not lawfully operational in the country. I mean, Hasina government has put a ban on its activities and is still on.
Okay.
Government has not put off the ban yet.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking to me on India Global. I believe that we're going to come back and talk more, given how volatile situation seems to be in Bangladesh. Thank you so much for speaking to me today on India Global. All right, shifting focus now to the other big story that we are focusing on, which is the milestone as far as cryptocurrency is concerned. Bitcoin has hit a record high of $100,000. This surge in value comes as investor optimism grows, fueled by expectations of a more crypto-friendly regulatory landscape under the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump. Since the beginning of 2024, Bitcoin's value has more than doubled. In fact, in the past 4 weeks alone, it has risen by 45% following Trump's election win. Here's a closer look at the story in detail.
Bitcoin, the first ever cryptocurrency, has surpassed the $100,000 mark after US President-elect Donald Trump selected Paul Atkins, a former SEC commissioner known for his support of crypto, to lead the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Bitcoin has been consistently surging in trade and has more than doubled in value this year, up about 45% since Donald Trump's sweeping election victory and over 140% year to date. Now, analysts believe with Trump's appointment of Paul Atkins, a more friendly environment for cryptocurrencies is now seeming a reality more than ever before. Remember, not long ago, Donald Trump touted his family's new crypto endeavor, World Liberty Financial, encouraging users to embrace this technology. The move into the crypto industry marks a significant shift, as remember in 2019, Donald Trump said he was not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And now recently, Trump has embraced digital assets, promising to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet. Remember Elon Musk, the Tesla billionaire, who recently declared a financial emergency in the US, has ventured back into the world of crypto amid a Bitcoin price boom. Experts believe one can be cautiously optimistic or wait and watch as to how the cryptocurrency industry evolves globally after the newfound support from Donald Trump. The spotlight is on other nations and their fresh approach. Currently, remember, India only regulates crypto asset space from an anti-money laundering and counter-terror financing perspective, which does not provide enough protective measures or any grievance redressal. Sakshi Bajaj for NDTV.
All right, Vishal Saraswat and PM Mishra join me to really decode what does this mean for Indian investors, given the fact that our regulatory landscape is far more complex? And how can investors here in India really join the rally or the party that's happening right now? Mr. Saraswat, let me start with you, sir. There's expectation that the Trump 2.0 administration will be more benign, more positive to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. But what does this translate for us, for Indian investors? How can we join the party?
While Indian government is not regulating the trade of crypto, but it's not even stopping us from trading in crypto, right? So, of course, and when it comes to technology, United States is one of the countries that sets the tone for the rest of the world. So, with the US government or president appointing Atkins and supporting the regulation of crypto in a more generous way, let's say it this way, the trade is going to boom. The skepticism that we had about crypto trading, that's going to reduce. So yeah, it's, for Indians, for people all over the world who believe in the technology, I think it's a boost for them. It's a moral booster for them. Yeah.
Mr. Mishra, you want to come in there in terms of what does this mean for the Indian investor who till now has pretty much been on the fence of this massive rally that has taken this year?
Okay, so let's start with something where you said, as far as Indian investor is concerned, they are in a situation whether they can, actually they are in a very peculiar situation. Situation of Indian investor is such, without regulation, they cannot step in. You know that every day we are receiving more than 10 or 15 complaints from different guys, their bank account being frozen by different banks due to P2P transactions. So regulation is first. Government has to understand the world is right now behind digital currency or virtual assets. You name it, all the big economy is in frame. After US, right now, UK is coming up with its own stablecoin regulation. UAE has already done it. Singapore is open. For what exactly we're waiting? At least we should start with the experimentation in any kind of, special economic zone to see how regulation really acts. So now the situation is, Indian government is not opening the gate, neither it's closing the gate. Just open a little bit and looking at it. This is the situation of India. FIU is there for crypto exchange. Right now, you can go there, register, but they are not the regulator. Without regulation, regulator is not there. So situation is quite peculiar for Indian investors.
And RBI has had a very cautious tone when it comes to cryptocurrencies. They've had a very cautious tone for cryptocurrencies on multiple occasions. They've in fact said that investors should stay away. Do you see that, Mr. Saraswat, that being changed now, given that the global mood and the investor sentiment right now is so positive when it comes to cryptocurrencies?
Yes, it's positive all over the world, and as our colleague also mentioned it out, like Indian government has not really completely banned the trading of cryptocurrency. And our current RBI governor, he seems to be pretty mature about the technology, and I do believe that this boost in US, and I'm sure RBI will still be cautious and maybe wait till until the at least till the budget presentation and then decide. But I do look forward, I do expect that the Indian government will also be now increasing their pace on bringing in the regulations. The regulations, bringing in the regulation, the process has started a while back, but at some point it kind of slowed down or maybe plateaued, but I expect it to now pick up the pace and follow the US footsteps.
All right. Mr. Mishra, let me then ask you this, that what is it that you would be advising your investors right now, who would want to be part of this rally? What is it that you would be advising them right now?
Let me start with RBI's, RBI is really cautious. You know, it is basically the whole cryptocurrency stuff started with bank against a non-regulated currency. That we need to understand. So how come a central bank who is controlling fiat will be in support of crypto? Not about our central bank. You go to any country, central banks are not in support of crypto. Now, about the crypto investors in our country, first and foremost thing is 99% of the crypto investors in India is immature. As they don't understand what is the risk, they don't understand how it functions. It's better to be cautious, at the same time, keep learning. And because learning is the only process, let's wait for the, our government's eye-opener. When they open their eyes, they will come up with a regulation. Nothing else. But at this moment, there's no way that they will put their money and they'll be fixed somewhere in regulatorism. So at the end of the day, be careful, learn, and wait for your turn. Because in each regulation, we keep on learning. From crowdfunding till P2P, we are lacking behind because government is not taking any decision on it. That's for sure. So we are missing the bus in case of crypto regulation.
Okay, but come January, the expectation is that there'll be a lot of push as far as digital currencies are concerned, led, of course, by the US, and probably there could be some sort of a global framework or something that could also be put in place, given how bullish the Trump administration is said to be on cryptocurrencies or digital currencies. Mr. Saraswat, do you see that, becoming the inflection point for India to sort of join in as well, or inflection point for India to come up with its own larger regulatory framework?
On larger, I don't know, but certainly India has followed the footsteps of the United States or the EU in many aspects, especially when it comes to crypto or cybersecurity topics, right? So here also I expect the government will see that the regulations have picked up the pace and they won't want to stay behind. Technologically, India is quite advanced in technology field. Even in the cryptocurrency, Indians have invested a lot. There are tons of startups in India investing in it or working on it or providing some sort of service to the crypto industry. So it's high time that Indian government takes that, yeah, now we need to step in. Now we need to pick up the pace and take some responsibility. Right?
Sure. All right, Mr. Saraswat, Mr. Mishra, thank you so much for speaking to me today on an issue I believe that's more evolving than we know, and probably could see India joining in the global party as well. All right, on that note, we slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side with more news, specifically in terms of what's happening in Ukraine and the latest in the other conflicts as well. Stay with us.
Dreams come true, come to the other side.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
Health isn't someday in the future, it's now. It's same-day GP appointments. Physio without GP referrals. Cancer testing, scans and diagnosis fast. Questions for an expert at any hour about anything. Support that lasts for as long as it takes. Feeling your best every day starts today. Call or go online now for your health insurance quote.
Christmas can be challenging at the best of times.
Okay, Mum.
But for families who have lost or are losing a loved one, it can be overwhelming.
They're here, they're here. Oh, honey. Hello. So pleased to see you.
So amid the anger, could you give £23 to fund an hour of care? In between the stress...
It's not too late. No, you're not too late.
Could you fund an hour of comfort? And amongst the grief...
You're not alone.
Could you fund an hour of joy?
Okay, Mum. You all right?
This isn't the kind of Christmas anyone ever wanted. But with your help, we can be there to make it the best one possible. To give £23 for an hour of care, comfort and joy, please call 0800 810 0212, text CARE to 70488 or search Marie Curie Christmas. Thank you.
It's been a difficult year for our family. We're finally going through my Tom's things. I want to make him proud, and that starts by making sure our son is protected.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK.
That's great.
UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
That money could help with debts or my funeral costs. I'll do it.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 158 552 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
Welcome back to Watching India Global. We now turn our attention to the Ukrainian conflict and updates coming in there where the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met. In fact, his delegation has met with senior representatives of President-elect Donald Trump. The delegation met in Washington with Trump's choice for White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and his Ukraine envoy Keith Kellogg. The meet is seen as an aim for Ukraine to build contacts with the incoming administration of Donald Trump, who has promised to end the Russian war in Ukraine on day one on taking office. Okay, shifting focus now to Canada, where it has announced major changes to its immigration policies, which could potentially force millions to leave. The Trudeau government has introduced reductions in the number of both permanent as well as temporary residents entering Canada over the next 3 years. These changes are part of a revised immigration revamp and a plan which aims at addressing Canada's housing, healthcare and infra challenges. Immigration Minister Mark Miller has said that close to 5 million temporary permits are set to expire by end of 2025. And unless the permit holders transition to PR, which is permanent residency, or successfully renew their permits, most of them will have to leave. Under the new immigration rules, the annual target for permanent residents will decrease by 21% from 500,000 to about 3,95,000 by 2025. Temporary foreign workers and students are also expected to see cuts. The number of temporary foreign workers are estimated to drop by 40% and international student intake by 10% by 2026. Now, what is the reason for this? What is the impact of this as far as India is concerned? And what does it translate in terms of numbers is what we are going to now discuss with Rohit Sharma, who joins us live from Delhi to decode the significance of what Canada has come up with. Rohit, in your assessment, how significant are some of these announcements that Canada has made today?
These are definitely very significant announcements from the perspective that the overall perception towards Canada as a destination to migrate to Canada is beginning to, to get very much diluted because of all these kinds of announcements. But, like as you yourself has mentioned, this has actually happened to address the growing concerns over the medical sector, on the housing sector, and the rising unemployment. What actually has happened, post-pandemic 2019, when I look back, the Canada, in fact, has started encouraging a lot of temporary foreign worker program because they wanted to fix up their overall country's economy at that time, and they were able to fix it up well as well. In 2023 alone, 88% of jump happened, on the temporary foreign worker visa compared to 2019. So you can understand the kind of influx that has happened in the last 5 years or so. So obviously that has impacted the overall housing sector. The prices of houses actually have gone beyond. and medical infrastructure.
It's also an election year, and Trudeau is running a minority government. And as far as popularity ratings are concerned, he's seen a massive dip of about 20%. So if local residents feel the pinch when it comes to cost of living on so many parameters, he has to, and his government has to, of course, respond to that. Having said that, in terms of the impact on Indian students, if you could tell us how significant could that be, and also the number of people you think who may not be able to transition either to get a PR or to renew their existing permits. How significant are those buckets of people likely to be?
Yeah, massive, as regards students are concerned, because students are actually coming under this temporary foreign workers category. They are the majority ones. Almost 42% of students are there who actually are just on study basis. Otherwise, overall, if you look at 100% of temporary foreign workers that are there in Canada, 58% are the ones who have studies and who also have the work permits there. Now, with this cancellation, close to 7,66,000 students are going to be impacted because of this. And if they are not going to get conversion to PR, they are coming back. So you can understand the kind of shock I'm using the word shock, they will actually get into, because their entire objective of going to Canada was not just studies alone. They wanted to stay there, live there, and make their livelihood after gaining study of that country, gaining good employments. So you rightly said, yes, election year is there. So Mr. Trudeau is doing anything and everything possible, to generate as much interest in the locals there as well, trying to highlight this. My submission always is that, this is something the Canadian government were always aware. That is why I was saying, when they raised the temporary foreign worker visa status to almost 88%, at that time, they should have been cautious. They can't just, come tomorrow and say, hello, we are cancelling up all the visas, now go back.
Okay.
It is not, it is a lifetime, damage to
These
someone's
are major changes and major decisions that people have to make, and they stand to get impacted on that. Thank you so much, Rohit, for speaking to us on an important story that impacts many students across India. All right, on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of India Global. Thanks so much for watching.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I've got a few rounds left to go. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period, unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years for full cover. With Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one, and you're covered for the whole of your life. Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call.
Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0800 380 0060 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Dan's Christmas Day will be spent huddled on a pavement. John can't remember a Christmas he wasn't on the streets. Lauren would rather face Christmas alone than face the abuse at home. Living on the streets is tough at any time of year, but imagine how it feels at Christmas when you're shivering with cold and everyone else is celebrating. Will you help bring a homeless person in from the cold? Call 0800 140 4433 and give £19 or whatever you can afford to the Salvation Army. Every day of the year, including Christmas, we open our doors and hearts to homeless people. We can't solve all their problems, but with your £19, we can show them someone cares and give them the chance of a fresh start. So please, think of those facing the bleakest of Christmases and call 0800 140 4433 today. Thank you.
Dealing with my lot means making smart choices. And with our family growing, I want to protect the life we've built. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought, and could help my husband pay off the mortgage.
With our Smart Family Guarantee and 99% of claims having been paid, you'll have peace of mind.
I'll go ahead.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 5753 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Pawar will be his deputy's top Bollywood stars and Sachin Tendulkar in the audience at the ceremony. Akali Dal claims the attack on its chief Sukhbir Badal was state-sponsored. Senior Akali leader claims that the accused met the police at the Golden Temple before firing a shot. Arvind Kejriwal says it's an effort to malign and tarnish the Punjab government. After a show of Congress strength in Hassan, JDS's turf, Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and Deputy CM DK Shivkumar toned down reports of a power-sharing agreement between them. Siddaramaiah says no such arrangement. DK says we will complete the term smoothly. First up this evening, as the Congress party and Chief Minister Siddaramaiah put up a show of strength with a massive rally in the JDS's bastion of Hassan. The internal power balance issues between Siddaramaiah and his Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivkumar, who's also the state Congress president, simmered back to focus. This after reports that DK Shivkumar had claimed that there was a sharing of chief ministership arrangement between Siddaramaiah and him after the victory in the assembly elections. However, Siddaramaiah, who reiterated that whatever the high command of the party decides will be the final decision, clarified that there was no such arrangement. DK Shivkumar too toned down the issue and reiterated that the high command's decision will be the final one. Meanwhile, the Karnataka High Court, which was hearing the Mysore Urban Development Authority controversy case, has posted the matter now to the 20th of January.
ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಯಾವ ಒಪ್ಪಂದನೂ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡು ಏನು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅದಂತ ನಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ನಾವು.
I am telling you, whatever the chief, I agree with whatever the chief minister said. Is whatever the high command does, there is nothing point now. We will complete the full term without any complication. There is no any difference anywhere. We have discussed a lot of issues because we have communicated to various people, and because all of us have to work together.
Well, so for a quick update, joining me this evening is Pratibha Raman, who's been tracking the story very closely, as well as senior journalist B.S. Arun, who's had several years of experience in tracking Karnataka politics. First to you, Pratibha, even the Hassan rally, there was some kind of messaging issues between whether it was going to be Siddaramaiah's show of strength after the victory in bypolls, or was it going to be a party event, obviously being clarified closer to the date of the rally.
It all started with a rally that was being organized by the Ahinda followers of Siddaramaiah, and this was also touted to be a show of strength, but eventually it turned out to be a formal Congress party rally as well, with both of them joining hands and organizing this rally of sorts. This, on one hand, points to Siddaramaiah trying to display his strength, especially at a time when he is battling the Muda allegations there, and on the other hand, there is also the internal power tussle between Mr. DK Shivkumar as well as Siddaramaiah there. Remember, there was a power-sharing agreement that was talked about during the recent assembly election when Congress stormed back to power here. And this has resurfaced, and especially when Siddaramaiah is seeming to be in a position where he is battling the Muda allegations. Many of them do believe that this could be the right time when he would perhaps be willing to hand over the baton to DK Shivkumar there. Will he or will he not is also something that lies at the High Command's court, while the entire legal battle with respect to the Muda lies with the High Court now. Back to you.
Right, Arun, having seen this play out for several months now, what's the sense that you're picking up post the by-elections? Just the indication that there could be a power-sharing arrangement, and then categorical rejection saying the matter will be with the High Command. Do you see it as simmering of the internal power balance in the Congress, or do you see that it's pretty much clear and settled for the moment?
Well, the latter, Veera, because, ever since the formation of the Congress government last year, although newspapers and the media had been, carrying out stories about the tussle within the Congress, there has been no, in public, there had been no statements or anything of that sort between Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivkumar. To be fair to Shivkumar himself, he had never uttered a word against Siddaramaiah in public. We don't know what has happened internally, but in public, he has always maintained that Congress High Command will decide the things. Although yesterday he gave an interview, it seems, in which he said that he hinted that he would be getting power after 2.5 years, which is late next year. But as I said, that there has been, in public at least, they have maintained the cordiality. You saw the body language between the two leaders today when you showed the clippings of the Hassan meet, which has been organized, which was organized by the Congress as a celebration of its 3-0 victory over Congress and over BJP and Janata Dal in the Karnataka by-elections. It was also to show that in Hassan, which is the stronghold of H.D. Devegowda and H.D. Kumaraswamy of Janata Dal, they want to show their strength. So this was organized in Hassan particularly because of that, as well as to celebrate the by-election victories. This is also to show that they have remained united and that there is no setback to the Congress despite the cases against Siddaramaiah as regards Muda. Certainly, no one will say the Muda was not a setback to Siddaramaiah. I feel it is a setback, but then the victories in the by-election have really come as a shot in the arm for the Chief Minister as well as the Congress party, Veera.
That's right. You're making a very important point. It's come as a shot in the arm both for the Chief Minister as well as the State Congress President D.K. Shivkumar, especially that Channapatna result. So the power balance remains where it was in the Congress in Karnataka. Thanks very much, B.S. Arun, for putting that in perspective. Now to our special focus this evening, to Pushpa 2. Will it rule the box office? Cited as one of the most expensive films in India with a budget close to 500 crores, the Allu Arjun sequel to his 2021 blockbuster Pushpa hit the screens worldwide. But the release started on a tragic note after a 35-year-old woman in Hyderabad died in the rush to buy tickets and her 8-year-old son had to be hospitalized with injuries. The incident took place at the Sandhya Theatre in the Chikkadpalli area, where there was massive rush to buy tickets for the 9:30 p.m. show on Wednesday evening. The police say that the actor of the film, Allu Arjun, came to the theatre with his security, and there was a huge rush and chaos that ensued and entered the theatre along with him. And with the poor crowd control measures in place there, the woman who had come to watch the film suffocated to death in that melee, and her son had to be hospitalized. The Hyderabad police have now said that they will book the owner of that Sandhya Theatre for not informing them in advance and putting crowd control measures in place where the incident took place, and will also file a case, interestingly, against and importantly against Allu Arjun as well, the top star of the film, accountable for this incident. All that playing out in Hyderabad late last evening. Obviously, Pushpa 2 has opened to packed box offices today. That's the big story we are focusing on this evening. Two questions. Will Pushpa 2 rule at the box office? But more importantly, what defines this opening day fan frenzy that's resulted in tragic consequences, not for the first time, especially in Telugu, Tamil and Kannada cinema? Joining me this evening, Reshmi A.R., online editor of Deccan Chronicle, who joins us from Hyderabad, noted entertainment columnist and industry observer Sridhar Pillai, who joins us from Chennai, and trade analyst Girish Wankhade as well from Mumbai. Rashmi, first to you. This is not the first time we see this kind of fan frenzy for the first day, first show tickets in a sense, especially in Telugu, Tamil and Kannada cinema, if I can draw a distinction from the rest. I mean, what really defines this kind of mad rush? It was a sort of a phenomenon in the 70s and 80s for Bollywood as well, but it seems to continue prolonged despite tragic consequences as far as South Indian cinema is concerned. What perhaps defines that?
See, we must not forget that this was one of the most anticipated movies, considering the first part was a blockbuster hit. So there was a lot of expectation. And then this happens. I mean, and also, let me tell you, this is not an isolated incident. Of course, this happened at the theater, but last time, during another Stars movie, he was also an A-lister. During an audio release event, there was a stampede and a fan died, after which the audio release events were discontinued. So the fan frenzy at these events, and also this is a single screen theater, which not many of which are left right now in Hyderabad. But whenever there is a movie release, be it on a big scale or a medium budget movies also, so we have these benefit shows which happen either the previous night, late in the evening, or probably early morning shows. So that's when this madness happens. Actually, I think it was also irresponsible on the side of on the part of the theater management not to inform the police and also the movie team itself, because they knew they were going. And then the family also, considering the kind of madness that happens there. Yeah.
You're right. It's multiple people held responsible. The question of whether the star himself should also be responsible, because stars tend to make these sudden appearance on first day, first shows, resulting in a lot of chaos. And we've seen that repeatedly. Before I go to Sridhar Pillai and Girish to understand further both of how the movie is doing at the box office as well as this phenomenon, let's listen to this report on what happened at Hyderabad last evening and the reactions that came in after.
It was a day that Bhaskar, his wife Dwivedi, and their 2 children had eagerly been waiting for. The Allu Arjun fans had their tickets booked for the premiere show of Pushpa, The Rule at Sandhya Theatre in Hyderabad. Actors Allu Arjun, Rashmika Mandana, and music director Devi Prasad had arrived at the theatre to meet and greet the fans attending the premiere show. However, chaos erupted outside the theatre as the crowd tried to catch a glimpse of the star, and things quickly took a turn for the worse. The theatre's main gate collapsed under the overwhelming pressure of the crowd.